Alright, Arrow fans, time to take a look at the final episode of Arrow Season 4, Schism. The scene opens with Dark threatening to slaughter Dawn and Felicity is insistent with Rubicon, yet Team Arrow upsets him. A firefight breaks out between Team Arrow and a few ghosts, and Dark is going to target Felicity again when Oliver comes to get down to business with him. Dark is showing signs of improvement of Oliver when Thea comes in with a bullet to Dark Girl's throat. Dark releases Oliver, takes this little girl on Felicity's PC, and makes his departure. In the tussle, Curse is harmed and they take him to the lair. Felicity begins attempting to make sense of how to close down Rubicon. On the island, a portion of the exiles are getting away on a plane. However, Raider explodes it in midair with his enchantment to benefit from the passings. In the lair, Felicity tracks her PC to a place of business downtown, and the group advances there to search for it. They show up to find the GPS tracker is on a gathering table, now joined to the PC, and that 15,000 rockets are presently noticeable all around, with around 2 hours to stop them all. Felicity sees that there's one rocket specifically focused on Star City, which will show up in a short time. On Lianyu, Raider attempts to take Tails' enchantment and begins to crumble. Oliver exploits his being occupied to wound him, apparently to death. At the nest, Diggle and Felicity are attempting clearing conventions. Argus Interim is sending powers into City Hall, and Oliver doesn't care for the thought. At City Hall, Dark's little girl is frightened of a sanctuary and misses her mother. Dark guarantees her that it's only somewhat longer before they'll see her. A gathering of Argus fighters advance into the space to go head-to-head with Dark. In the lair, Team Arrow tunes into them all being butchered over the radio, and afterwards themselves are raged by military. Phantom shoot up the spot where Team Arrow jumps without hesitation. After an extensive battle scene, the ghosts are all dead. A Spadigo nearly freezing more than one we had a dream murdering his sibling. The group gets a little assistance en route from Merlin. On Lianyu, Tan is losing her psyche and tossing over all around with her enchantment. He figures out how to talk her back to mental stability while she gags him, and she's, despite everything, battling the enchantment's impacts at the forefront of her thoughts. She just has just a single path around it, and that he needs to slaughter her. At the point when Oliver begins to have self-question, he gets a buck of discourse from Felicity. However, it doesn't work. Oliver inquires as to whether, if they hadn't returned, if Laurel at present would be alive. Curtis lurches them and says that he needs to give some expectation. He discloses to Oliver that rational individuals don't prefer to live in Star City, yet that the Green Arrow enlivened them to remain. He says the Green Arrow gave him expectation and motivation, and can give the equivalent to others now disregarding the frenzy of the boulevards. On the avenues of Star City, Oliver gets up on head of a taxi, as Oliver, not Green Arrow, attempts to mobilize the City Hop Trust. He cites Curtis to the group. On TV and the radio, Oliver motivates each and every individual who hears him to join together. The rocket is noticeable all around over the city, where Curtis and Felicity figure out how to utilize an infrared sign to persuade the rocket that's just exploded, diverting it out of the city. Felicity and Curtis have utilized their IR access to the nuke to follow the sign back to Cooper where he's controlling Rubicon, and Team Arrow gets ready to separate, some going to Cooper and some to City Hall. Squirm is remaining behind with Lila. On Lianyu, Oliver hesitantly consents to murder Tiana, promising her that he won't overlook his guarantee to go to Russia for her and afterwards snapping her neck. Two companions come up behind him with firearms, offended. At the lair, Lila goes up against Diggle, asking whether it was Andy that made him freeze. He almost concedes that it wasn't generally self-preservation when he slaughtered Andy. It was a reaction to Andy threatening the family. She reveals to him that he did what he needed to do in the midst of war. However, Diggle says it wasn't excessively straightforward. At City Hall, Oliver goes up against Dark, who tells the little girl that Green Arrow came there to bite the dust. On the roads outside City Hall, Oliver's passed up Dark's enchantment. Dark punches him over the road, bantering. Class of assassins individuals take out Ghost to make way for Felicity to stop Cooper. On the roads, Dark is tossing Oliver around when a gathering of individuals on the road begin yelling at him and tossing things at him. He turns to them, utilizing his enchantment to push her back. reveals Oliver that he needs to scrub mankind, and Oliver discloses to him that he won't win. Dark turns on him, asking how Oliver intends to stop him, and only says that it won't simply be him, yet the individuals in the group as well. They stand rally around him, and their confidence debilitates Dark's enchantment enough that Oliver figures out how to cut him with a bolt. The two prepare to battle hand to hand, with Dark reminding Oliver that he used to be in the League of Assassins. Cooper has been shot by Dark, who has been utilizing his enchantment to draw the projectile nearer and closer to his heart to extort him into utilizing Rubicon. Felicity discloses to him that he's better than this, and he can even now be the man she cherished. She goes to him that 7 years back they generally needed to spare the world, and now is his opportunity. Cooper hands over the console to her, and Dark feels the movement as well, and executes him remotely. Felicity goes to him, she's heartbroken and starts chipping away at Rubicon. Oliver and Dark keep on battling, Dark beginning to high ground until Team Arrow appears and hold firearms on him. The Gathering Ghost comes to join the quarrel, and its individual Star City and Team Arrow versus the Ghosts. Felicity has a misfortune on the best way to stop the rockets. Curtis has a thought she thinks will work. In the fight, Dark gets his hands on Oliver's bow and shoots a bolt into Oliver's chest. He is enshrouded by his protective layer, and when Quentin and Diggle appear, Oliver advises them to deal with the Ghost so he can deal with Dark. In the fracas, the two exchange blows. Oliver sticks a bolt in Dark's heart, executing him. Now in Dark's case, Oliver wouldn't do it since he permitted Slade Wilson to live. Back at the lair, Lance uncovers that he's been terminated from the police office, so he and Don are moving away for some time. He expresses gratitude toward Oliver after getting equity and conclusion for Laurel, and leaves. Next, Thea says she's anticipating leaving as well, to go get herself. Where she took steps to execute a young lady was the place she now understood how disillusioned Laurel would be with her in the event that she were alive. She started to Oliver for needing to get out, and reveals to her she never needs to apologize to him. Felicity leaves the room, giving Diggle time to disclose to Oliver that he's leaving town as well. On the island, Oliver informs the men regarding to shoot him that Tiana besieged him to slaughter her. They're disturbed about the plane, though Oliver reveals to them that there's no way to get off the island. He calls Amanda Waller. She says the purpose of this was to give him that occasionally the best way to have equity is to slaughter for it. She gives him a team of apparatus and extends him an employment opportunity. He turns her down, saying that it is a promise to keep. At Laurel's grave, Oliver goes to Laurel that he realizes she wouldn't have loved him murdering Dark if she was superior to him. And that's the thing that he cherished about her. Felicity comes up behind him and attempts to comfort him, making a superior showing of it this time. She reveals to him that he isn't feeling murkiness with himself, however the war between his obscurity and light. Oliver gets called from the top of the city committee, drafting him to be interval chairman of Star City. Outside of town, Lance is pushing Donna away from Star City. At home, Thea is perusing at their own home. Diggle in his military dress uniform, gathering a pack with a photograph of his family. Light goes up to him and he kisses Sarah and Lila farewell. At the lair, Oliver throws with the jumble of the spot and gazes at the ensembles hanging tight for individuals who won't return for them. His eyes are long as laying on his dome when Felicity comes in. She lets him know there's zero chance she's leaving. Oh, that's good, I guess, so yeah. So anyway, let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. This is the lowest rated episode of Arrow with a rating of 5.6 on IMDb. To promote the episode, a short comic was released. Sarah Lance later learns of the episode's events and the madness Demon Dark slipped into once he lost his wife during the DC's Legend of Tomorrow episode, Legendary. She done him with this and compromised, leaving Dark to try and change his future by time traveling via Barthon. Afterwards, the two time traveled to the date of Damien's death in 2016, hours after he died in this episode, to recruit Malcolm Merlin in the Legion of Doom. This episode is the final time before Sarah Diggle is erased from existence as a result of Flashpoint, and John Diggle Jr. would be born instead. However, after the Anti-Monitor Crisis, Earth Prime was created, where Sarah was restored back into existence. The title of this episode comes from the conversation Oliver had with Felicity, where she points out the two different sides of himself when he murdered Dark and helped restore Star City citizens' hope. This is last episode of Arrow to feature John Barrowman as a series regular. He's downgraded special guest star in season 5. In a flashback, Amanda orders the crucial idol to be taken to the slab. In the comics, the slab is a maximum security supervillain prison based in Antarctica. At the end of the season 6 episode Life Sentence and the first part of season 7, Oliver will be incarcerated in slab-side maximum security prison, which is based on the slab. When Felicity is looking at the map of released missiles, Starcity is located where real-world Chicago would be. Oliver kills Stark by stabbing him with an arrow, same with Dark Laurel in 1159. This episode marked the final appearance of Cynthia Adai Robinson for the duration of the series. And now finally, let's take a look at some goofs. During the final showdown between Green Arrow and Dark, a cameraman can be seen close to the camera filming towards the viewer's point of view. Flesh says that the closest ICBM was headed to Star City from Warren Air Force Base in Colorado. He was referring to Francis E. Warren Air Force Base. It's located in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and not Colorado. While Oliver is giving his speech on top of the taxi, one can see a Canadian flag flying from the facade of a building. This is a giveaway to the show being filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, even though in universe, Star City is in Washington. Oliver's elected mayor in 2016, even though this is the year during which presidential elections will be held. Mayoral elections actually take place as part of midterm elections, which have last occurred in 2014 and wouldn't happen again until 2018. It's possible that Mayor Star City holds office for only 2 years. A 4-year mayoral term is more common in the real world, though term lengths may vary from one city to another. Yeah, that's very true. So overall, this final episode of Arrow Season 4, this is just really damn good, and yeah, it's kind of a shame that some of the members of Team Arrow decided to leave, but who knows, maybe someone will come back next season, so who knows. So overall, I give Schism 5 arrowheads out of 5. Well, thank you so much for this look at Arrow Season 4, and tune in next year as we take a look at Arrow Season 5. And beginning next month on this channel, we're going to be taking a look at Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 5. So tune in for that. So, until then, in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city.